What's poppin', guys? You got your coach of the Chim Chargers for our week 6 team analysis for the GBA. This time we're taking on my buddy Aaron Cybertron, coach of the Melbourne Rotoms. Phenomenal VGC player and definitely fun watching him dive into the singles format in Draft League for the first time. He has a team of Mimikyu, Kartana, Pelipper, Kingdra, Porygon Z, Heliolisk, Ludicolo, Mega Swampert, Raichu, Hitmontop, and a Sliggoo. List should appear to your right momentarily. Looking at his team, he has Rain, so we definitely have to go in prepared for that. I guess as opposed to last season where I actually packed Rain, I had a lot of other options as well, so I had the option to either bring Rain or not to bring Rain. Based on Aaron's team, I feel like he's kind of forced to bring Rain each week because his team is very Rain reliant. He has a lot of water Pokemon that work well under Rain, a lot of electric type Pokemon that work well under Rain. Like he kind of has to bring Rain each week. So knowing that, I went into preparation by making an anti-Rain team, which I'll talk about soon. I guess I'll kind of guess and take a stab at whatever mons he might bring. And I feel like definitely Pelipper is coming for sure because like I said, his team is very Rain reliant. So he'll want to bring Pelipper, probably Mega Swampert because it's it's an electric immunity, very great under the Rain. And he'll probably also want to bring one of his other Rain Sweepers, maybe either Kingdra, Ludicolo, or both of those could come as well, because of the fact that he would want to just abuse the Rain and try to pressure my team as much as possible. Like, I do have a good number of, I guess, Rain checks and Rain counters, but maybe he might feel that he may want to just pressure that so much to the point where I can't really switch in too much on like 3 or 4 like Swift Swimmers or something, you know. He only has, I think, 3 in Ludicolo, Mega Swampert, Kingdra, so he might just bring all of those with Pelipper. Of course, I think maybe Kartana will come because it's his Z user. He has 2 Z Pokemon. He has Kartana and Raichu. Kartana probably the likeliest to come, I feel, because of the fact that it can run a lot of different sets. It's a very threatening Pokemon with SD and great coverage moves that can do a lot to my team. Heliolisk is another Pokemon that I'm a little bit worried that might come because of the fact that it will abuse the terrain of my Koko, you know, and just spam electric attacks or hyper voice and things like that. It's a very threatening mon that could also come as well. Mimikyu is another Pokemon that could come. It has a nice disguise, can set up SD, can do all that kind of stuff, check Kyurem and things like that. I don't think he'll bring any of his other Pokemon. Maybe Porygon could come as well, Porygon Z, because it can do a lot of things like Specs, Tri-Attack, or Agility, or Nasty Plot, or things like that. That could also work for him. So he has a lot of threats. Like, even though, like, you know, he only has 1 Stealth Rocker, which is Mega Swampert, which I don't think he'll bring. I don't think he'll bring Stealth Rocks on Mega Swampert. I definitely think he'll bring Swampert itself, but I don't know. I kind of like went back and looked at his matches a bit, and I don't think I saw Stealth Rocks anywhere. So I don't know if he used it or not. Maybe I missed it somewhere, but I'm not really too worried about that. And I guess, like, based on his team, I just have to make sure that I'm prepared for Rain, I guess. So let's just dive into the Pokemon that I brought here. The first Pokemon that I started out with while building this team is an Empoleon. Of course, you already know best defogger in the world, but this time, we don't even have defog. We got Emvee Empoleon with 4 attacks. I told you I was going to bring a Heat Empoleon set one of these days in probably like a couple of weeks ago or something, or last week. Here it is right now. We got Emvee Empoleon, 4 attacks with a Heat EV spread. And basically the EV spread allows me to tank hits really well from Pokemon such as Kingdra, Ludicolo, special attackers like that, while also being faster than his Pelipper. I've noticed that his Pelipper actually is not been running a lot of speed on it, so because of that, I know for a fact that I'll probably be able to outrun it with minimal speed investment. So I have that much speed to outrun it so that we can bop it with HP Electric. Under terrain especially, we'll be able to OHKO Pelippers and things like that, and with a special attack investment and just a good amount of bulk to take hits. Really great Kingdra answer, especially because Kingdra can be Spec, it can be Life Orb, it can be all kinds of things, but this set will deal with it really well. Knockoff is great because we can get rid of items no matter what set his Kingdra is. Getting a knockoff off on that thing is going to be super useful, and especially to get rid of other items like from Ludicolo, maybe Life Orb or something, or just reducing damage output is just so useful, especially when Empoleon does not really have great recovery. It can sponge attacks a lot better when we do that. HP Electric, like I said, for Pelipper, Ice Beam, Scald. We have Scald just for a main stab move, I guess, and Ice Beam for other Pokemon like Kingdra. After we knock off, we can just keep clicking Ice Beam. Really great to stall out the Rain as well. So I started out with Empoleon here, and I think it's going to do really well in this matchup, especially since AV, like Bulky Waters, do really well. And we also have an Amoonguss, so that's my next Pokemon here. Amoonguss. So like basically the first 3 Pokemon you see here is a nice bulky sort of rain, I guess bulky sort of anti-rain core. We have Amoonguss, which does a lot to his team. With Giga Drain, you know, we hit Swampert, things like that. With Foul Play, we can do a lot to Mimikyu. Foul Play is mainly just for Mimikyu and I guess Kartana and Swampert. Anything that's a physical attacker, it does really well versus that. Clear Smog in order to stop setup sweepers like Mimikyu. Like SD Mimikyu can stop that with a Clear Smog, get rid of its disguise. Clear Smog is a really fun move because it actually can get rid of stat boosts while also breaking Mimikyu's disguise, so that's really useful. And it's also great to just stop any kind of setup sweeper, maybe even Porygon, maybe D-Dance Kingdra or something, I don't know, anything like that. And HP Fire, just so that we can hit Kartana. Like even in the rain, it does a lot. It 2-hit KOs Kartana in the rain, OHKOs it outside of rain without any investment. Rocky Helmet is great because of the fact that once Mimikyu attacks us with Shadow Claw, it, like Foul Play I think does not have a guaranteed chance of OHKOing Mimikyu at +2, but after taking Rocky Helmet damage, it does. So that's why I have Rocky Helmet here. It's great for chip damage, and it's just one of the most useful items I'd say on a Mimikyu, on a Amoonguss, sorry. I think Rocky Helmet is just such a great item overall because it just deters so many physical attacks. It's just so nice. Next Pokemon we got is a Slowbro, and we have a Rindo Berry on it so that we can use it as a check to something like Kartana, which might go for Leaf Blade on us. Flamethrower with the investment actually has a pretty good chance of knocking it out in the rain itself, so that's really useful. Psychic is just a great move overall because his only Psychic resist is Kartana, and that doesn't really take special attacks too well. Next we have Grass Knot so that we can deal with Mega Swampert. So I'm not really gonna underestimate any more water grounds. Okay, I'm gonna run Grass Knot on like as many Pokemon as I can versus Pokemon like Swampert, Silent Tail, things like that. I'm gonna put Grass Knot on this Slowbro because it's nice versus the Swampert. Because Swampert, it can take a Psychic pretty well. It might just start power up punching, so I think having Grass Knot is pretty useful. So those are my first 3 Pokemon. We'll talk about the last 3 right now. So we have Tapu Koko, and Koko is really cool because I wanted to bring, so besides of course, you know, the fact that I have my bulky sort of anti-rain core here, I wanted to bring a nice offensive anti-rain core. So I have here Tapu Koko Raichu. For Koko, basically looking at his team, his only fairy resist on his team is, I believe, the Kartana once again. So having a Dazzling Gleam with Fairy Emvee to turn it into a Twinkle Tackle will be really nice because it does probably like 80% or more to Mega Swampert. So that's really cool. And we have Thunder so that we can abuse his own rain. So he'll set up the rain for us. We could just thunder things, and Thunder's really useful because I'm pretty sure Thunderbolt does not, or it has a chance, or maybe like not really a good chance of knocking out Mimikyu, but Thunder can. Thunder can do so much more damage, and it just gets the damage output a lot higher under electric terrain. Dazzling Gleam with Fairy Emvee, like I said, just deals a lot with his team. And Grass Knot for the Swampert outside of rain, or if he wants to switch it in. U-turn is great because of the fact that it gives us momentum without being walled by like for instance Mega Swampert. If we have Volt Switch, we'll get walled. If we go for a U-turn, we can actually get momentum guaranteed. And it also is great if he wants to bring in like a Ludicolo versus us. We have U-turn. If he brings AV Ludicolo, we can deal with that really well by going for U-turn. And it's just great to break, you know, Mimikyu's disguise or anything like that. It's just nice. I have enough speed to outrun what was it? I think his fastest mon is Kartana, I think, on his team, besides anything in the range. So I have enough speed to outrun Kartana. Next, we have a Raichu. So I'm bringing Specs Raichu once again. I think that's really great versus his team. Having a Pokemon like basically versus a team like Aaron's, where he has a lot of really fast rain sweepers. It's always great to have a Pokemon like Alolan Raichu, which under terrain outruns each and every one of his Swift Swimmers. So we have here Alolan Raichu with the Choice Spec, Surge Surfer to abuse in the electric terrain, T-Bolt Volt Switch. So I do have Volt Switch on this thing, even though we do get walled by Swampert, it's fine because his Swampert's not going to want to switch into a Psychic or a Grass Knot. This thing is really, really powerful with a Choice Specs. We have enough speed to outrun Porygon Z, so in case he's Agility Porygon Z, we're actually going to be faster than it under electric terrain with ×2 speed outrunning Agility Porygon Z. So that's really useful. And what else? I mean, this thing just hits really hard. Under terrain, T-Bolt is just so devastating with the Choice Specs. So I really enjoy having that a lot. And the last Pokemon I have here is a Specs Kyurem. And initially I had, so like basically his team does not have any sort of ice resist, which I don't know about, like, I don't know why it doesn't, but it's good for me because I can actually bring a Specs Kyurem and just keep clicking Ice Beam on every Pokemon that's not a threat. I guess it's fine for him because a lot of his Pokemon or a lot of his team are very threatening, so not a lot of ice types can be faster than, you know, a lot of his threats. But for something like Kyurem, which actually does resist water and electric and things like that, so it can actually put in a lot of work versus his team. If we just bring it in sometime, click Ice Beam, and it just does a lot of damage. Like pretty much like Raichu, I'm able to outrun Porygon Z, just a max speed Porygon Z. If it's Specs or anything like that, I can outrun it. And it has a decent amount of bulk. Like naturally, it has some pretty good bulk. Initially, I had 4 attacks on this thing, but this is like Joey was like, dude, you're only clicking Joey Pokemon was like, you're only clicking Ice Beam or Draco basically every match because he helped me test a little bit. And so I was like, okay, what do you suggest for the last 2 moves? He was like, why don't you do Fling Roost, because Fling can actually get rid of your item if you don't want to be locked in or anything. Maybe the matchup has it so the end game or the mid to end game has it like you have a Ludicolo you're up against. He was explaining it to me like maybe there's a Ludicolo, you want to Fling, you want to Roost on it and get back to a good amount of health because it can't touch you. So I guess those are the 2 last moves that I have here for that reason, to preserve Kyurem as much as I can because Ice Beam is great versus his team and he has no ice resists. So those are my last 2 moves. Essentially, I'm just gonna be clicking Ice Beam. Like that's it. Like there's no other move I need to click. I'm very like I'm 99.9% sure that I'm not gonna click Fling or Roost. But if I do have to, I have it here. Shout out to Joey for that then. But either way, I'm just clicking Ice Beam. Like that's literally it. Specs Ice Beam hits his entire team. 2-hit KOs pretty much everything, I think, unless something is AV, or I guess Mimikyu's disguise is still intact. Another thing I wanted to point out was that I'm actually not bringing Rocks or Defog into this matchup at the same time too. So I guess because like he's looking at his team, he's not really that weak to Rocks because I mean even though he does have a Pelipper which takes 25, I mean he still has potential for Roost and Defog. He has Defog Katana, Rapid Spin Hitmontop, and nothing else really takes too much from Rocks anyways to begin with. And I think clicking Rocks kind of loses me a lot of momentum in this match, especially when he has such an offensive team with a lot of mons that can pressure me with Rain and all that kind of stuff. A lot of offense on his team. So like Rocks are not really that useful versus him. At the same time, I don't think I even need to bring Defog because I don't think he'll bring Rocks versus me. The only potential Pokemon, like I said, that has Rocks on his team is Mega Swampert. And he probably won't want to bring that on it because he might want Power Punch. Otherwise, without it, he can't really break through any of my walls, my dedicated walls like Amoonguss, Slowbro, things like that. So I feel like he might want to bring Power Punch, which means that he might not have space for Rocks. So because of that, you know, I'm not going to bring either of those at the same time as him, so we can kind of level the playing field in that sense. But that's it, and that's going to be the team. Hope you all enjoyed. Looking forward to the match tomorrow, of course. 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when I'm going to get it up. Let me know what you guys think, of course. I'm really confident about this team, I guess. It looks pretty good, and it's very, very nice in the term of anti-rain. It just does so much work versus his team, where Amoonguss Slowbro can deal with his physical rain sweepers like Swampert or even like D-Dance Kingdra, and Empoleon can deal with his special rain sweepers like Specs or Life Orb, special attacking Kingdra. Even Ludicolo can knock that off as well and do some work versus that. Kyurem can deal well with Ludicolo, and Raichu just deals with everything on his team. Once we start weakening things, Coco's nice overall. So I think our team is really well prepared versus him. So I feel pretty confident, and I hope you're all excited for the match tomorrow. And we'll see you guys then, and peace.